Welcome to the Awakening Podcast. You can find all our episodes on awakeningpodcast.org. I'm joined with my good friend Arnold from braingym.fitness for Sane in an Insane World. And you find everything about me on roycollin.com. How are we, Arnold? As always, we'll be showing them what we're going to discuss.
Yes.
Some news. The US attacks Iran as nuclear sites yesterday. So that's very new to this Sunday as our time of recording on the 22nd. Euthanasia legislation in the UK. Bilderberg meeting. Organ donor on the driving licence. Straits of Hormuz. And the climate hoax. With AI, we've got LLM users consistently underperformed at neutral linguistic and behavioral levels.
Neural.
Oh, sorry. Apologies. Neural. AI massage and AI digital twin. The good news caravan to make you all happy so that you love your days. Mail in a barrel. Denmark's farewell to Microsoft and adaptive skate park. And health, smartphones, greater than flip phones. Mexico
replaced by flip phones.
Okay, I just saw the greater than sign as well. And just for the listeners, basically, we don't know what the other person is going to talk about. Well, we just see the titles there, but we don't discuss it. So then we're getting a natural reaction from the other person. So that's the way we like to do the show. Mexico bans sales of salty and sweet treats in schools to fight child obesity and natural painkillers. And now, previously other topics, but we thought we look to bring inspiration. So one is dirty electricity, and the other is Jason Fried. The best products are products that are built for the builder. It's a podcast, Less Than One with Kevin Rose. So I suppose we'll start off with, unfortunately, the Iranian thing, because it happened yesterday. So I'm going to just kind of, there's a few tweets that I saw, and I'll give a few different things. So first, Trump said, "We have completed our very successful attack on the 3 nuclear sites in Iran, including Fordow, Natanz, and Esfahan. All planes are now outside of Iran airspace. A full payload of bombs was dropped on the primary site, Fordow. All planes are safely on their way home. Congratulations to our great American warriors. There is not another military in the world that could have done this. Now is the time for peace. Thank you for your attention in this matter." And then he did a press conference, which he didn't answer questions. And he was like, thanking Netanyahu, the Israeli leader, thanking God, which you don't really hear him say that. He was thanking God bless Israel, God bless the Middle East, and God bless our military, which it was a strange one because you normally don't do that. So then Iran, I was looking at their tweets because they have a site where they're putting out the information, what they're doing and everything. Iran condemns the US attack on their nuclear site as a serious violation of international law, warning of lasting consequences, and asserting Iran's right to defend itself. Few things on this. One, how come nobody's going in helping Gaza for the last few years? So, at one stage they're just coming in doing this. So if you've got such great military, why aren't you doing anything to help people that are being bombed and all the hospitals and schools and all the children being murdered in Gaza? So you can do it when it's connected with oil and stuff like that. Nuclear bombs. So they're basically saying, hey, Iran, you can't have a nuclear bomb. Who's the only country that, well, I don't even know if nuclear bombs exist, because I think, is it a fair tactic? I've seen a lot of stuff on this, the stuff thinking it's just a bomb, loads of bombs, and they kind of claim it to put a fair tactic. Very hard for me to know, but that's what I'm hearing, because we hear of all nuclear tests. But if we look at even the testing, they have the camera work showing it. Could a camera survive that? No. So there's a load of fake information going out there as well. But if you look at who actually used the nuclear bomb, it was the Americans when they bombed Hiroshima and Nagasaki, killing innocent women, children, civilians. and they're telling someone else, hey, don't have this. You know, it's kind of a strange one. So it's scary. I mean, basically, like we're looking for kind of peace now. That's like me going into the schoolyard, giving someone a punch, and they go, all right, we won't bother fighting. You know, that's not how it works. Like, America's got military bases all over. They've them in Africa, they've them everywhere, but they've all over the Middle East. That's kind of like, would they accept all military bases from Iran on the Canadian border and the Mexican border? Not a hope. So why is it okay for them? It's looking dodgy. And I mean, I don't think many people are a fan of what Israel has done. They started it anyway, but it's looking, I think this is just going to get worse and worse, and it's getting scary.
Yes, absolutely. And the crazy thing is, well, I don't know enough about the legislation in the US, but why can a president just decide to bomb a country which at the moment has done nothing to them? So shouldn't that go through the Congress, the Senate, and or even ask the people and say, hey, do you want war or you want us to bomb another country? In most other countries, you're not allowed to decide that by yourself. It's a major impact on you. So that is already weird in itself. But it's also like, why didn't they bomb Mexico? Because I think they might be working on a nuclear bomb, like, or the Netherlands, or just any other country. I think there are kind of, well, not even 10 countries who get nuclear bombs. So it like, why don't you start bombing the other 190 because they might have one? So it's really weird, but it shows that, let's put it politely, there's a special link between the US and Israel. But what they forget is that there are other players. And the other players is that Iran is the main oil supplier of China. So now I'm pretty sure somehow China will be involved because of the Strait of Hormuz, which I will talk about in a minute. But it like, why are you doing these crazy things? And again, for a country who has done nothing. Yeah, but it's just like, yeah, well, you talked about the schoolyard, but it's like, hey, I'm the big brother of someone else, and your smaller brother said, I don't like that guy, beat him up. Huh? So it's really weird, but it becomes really dangerous. And what a lot of people are thinking is like, oh, I don't live in Iran, I don't live in Israel. I'm fine. It's Sunday here. Let's have a good day. It will impact our lives as well. And pretty soon at a much bigger level than we anticipate.
And if we look at the countries that America previously invaded, like Iraq, weapons of mass destruction, which was obviously a lie, but they've destroyed Iraq. And Libya, which was a very good country, you know, Gaddafi was looking after his people. That's in turmoil. I mean, you look at the pictures of before and after. So, and if I look at a country, everybody kind of propaganda saying how bad Russia is. You look at all the pictures of Russia; it's spotless. You don't have crime. You can walk around safe. You look at America, and it's all people on fentanyl, and it's just dangerous. It's like you look what's in your backyard and before you start going elsewhere. Like, it's like we're supposed to see this is the country that's going to save the world. This is the country destroying the world. And I mean, I've got a lot. There's like 50% of the listeners are American. I mean, are you happy with what's going on in your country? Do you feel safe? And then you had all the wars. Like, why are you in war constantly? You know, it's not right.
Yeah, and on top of that, Trump and his friends, they are not, they're in their bunkers or any other places. It's the young men out of the US who got to do the fighting. It's the young man who's going to be killed. Huh?
And like his sons, I've seen pictures of them killing all the animals in Africa and they're posing for it. So why not put them on the front lines? They obviously can use armaments. That won't happen. It'll be people they don't give a shit about. And yeah, go out there and if you die, we'll use that as another propaganda to do more bombing. Yeah, this is another one. Euthanasia. So there, it's the current status is euthanasia and assisted suicide remains illegal in the United Kingdom. The primary legislation governing this is the Suicide Act of 1961, which makes it a criminal offence to assist or encourage suicide, carrying out a punishment up to 14 years in prison. Recent legislative developments. There has been significant recent movement on the issue. A bill called the Terminally Ill Adult, back its end of life bill, has been introduced and recently passed a crucial vote in the House of Commons. The bill was approved by 314 votes in favour and 291 against. However, this does not yet mean euthanasia is legal, as the bill must still pass through the House of Lords and complete the full legislation process before becoming law. The scope of the bill applied to terminally ill adults in England and Wales, be limited to those diagnosed with less than 6 months to live, includes specific criteria and safeguards. The public and professional opinion shows strong support for euthanasia legislation, with 79% of the public expressing desire for this opinion. Medical professions are more divided. The British Medical Association, BMA, has moved to a neutral stance as of September 21. They were neither supporting nor opposing the changes in the law. The British Geriatric Society has expressed concern, with 50% of the members opposing and the others not, right? But people think, okay, somebody is actually dying, they've got terminal cancer, they're in pain, and we'd actually be, it's like mercy killing. I mean, a lot of people do it with their animals. Their dog is suffering and everything. They bring it to the vet. They don't want it to be lying there suffering. Can't do that with humans. And if you look at it like that way, yeah, I get why, okay, mercy killing is okay. But, and this goes to your beautiful country in Holland, what I heard is a few stories, but a lot of people, 29-year-old Dutch woman who documented her final journey, struggled with severe mental health conditions, including borderline personality disorder, chronic depression, anxiety, and psychosis. What makes her story particularly powerful is she allowed the Dutch TV. Then there was someone else. A lot of people with mental health issues were basically allowed to euthanize themselves. And that can be cured. They don't give a shit about you. And I know we've talked about it previously in Canada. So at the start, they just open the door and go, oh, we're here to help you. And then before you know it, it's like, hey, line up there. And there's something else about even younger. I don't have it here, but I was saying that at some places, they're like even allowing children, but the parents must allow it and everything. And it's scary. So, and there's another thing. It's kind of separate to this, but it's relevant. There was a person who was told he was brain dead. And of course, they were trying to take his organs and everything. And he woke up. So they tell lies. And with this, I mean, there's times where I think I mentioned it, like one person was told their child was going to be Down syndrome and it wasn't. But they were told to terminate their child. And they didn't. A lot of the times, people might make a decision on their life based on doctors who are a high percentage are corrupt. They're loyal to the dollar, to the pharma, big pharma. And with people with PTSD and all the different issues based on tablets and everything, this is scary. And it's like, it ain't as good as it is. It's not a case of, caring for your loved one that's on their last days and you don't want them to suffer. There's a hidden agenda there, and just be careful of it.
Yeah, and I think it ties into what you're later going to talk about, the organs, and what you mentioned a few weeks ago about that lady in Turkey who's got her heart was gone.
Exactly.
On top of that, there was from last week, there was this meeting that what they call the Bilderberg Meetings. The name has come from a Dutch hotel where it started, I think, in the 1940s or 50s. So that's the name and they kept that name, but they meet in different places. And the last meeting was in Stockholm, Sweden. Well, is the meeting you and I can go to? No, it's invitation only. and it's only for the elite, and the elite meaning, to give you examples of people who were invited, the King of Holland was there. And the boss of NATO, Rutte. But also the CEO of Palantir, which we have been discussing a few times. He was also there. He determines, by the way, he's one of the guys who determines this agenda. There are EU commissioners. So a lot of people, and they have let's put it mildly, a huge influence on what's going to happen in the world. And see here the agenda, transatlantic relationship, Ukraine, US economy, Europe, Middle East. So maybe we already discussed this attack, authoritarian access, whatever that may be, defense, innovation, and resilience, meaning you got to put taxpayers' money in creating more defense, AI, deterrence and national security. Well, meaning is like, hey, well, I think there are no Chinese guys here. So it's like, hey, we got to protect our AI from others. Proliferation, geopolitics of energy and critical. And the last part, which nicely ties into what Roy was saying previously, depopulation and migration. That's what they are discussing there. Meaning, saying we got too much people, how do we get rid of them, and what do we do with migration? This is just openly shared. And the interesting thing, it's not only elite type of people. Well, we got to find another word. David Icke used the word cult, but it's like elite. I think when I think about elite, is elite sportsmen, the top of the top. But these are the top of the top criminals. So it's using the word elite is a bit strange, but this is what they're discussing, and they're not even hiding it. And the interesting thing is there are journalists invited, and journalists only from some of the mass media outlets, but they're allowed to be there, but not allowed to report. Why is that? So it is already about manipulating and preparing the mass media about the mainstream media, what is going to happen, so that they are prepared and they know. Yeah, so they are there. It's like, see here, listen, but keep your mouth shut. Don't share it with anybody else. This is creepy, folks. This is really, really creepy. And this is really happening because I saw videos of the guys attending and going back and forth in the taxi and in the car. And it's really creepy. It's happening. But these folks are deciding our future. It's not in our parliaments, in our national parliaments, in the referendums. No, these are the guys who are pulling the strings.
I've been following this for about 10 years. I was aware of the Bilderberg group, and Rainier boss Michael O'Leary was at it. A lot of the big boys in the country, they're not good people, but there was also a guy, a TD from the Fine Gael party, which is an Irish political party, Simon Covey, not a good guy, voting on all the wrong things, the eviction bills and things like that. And the camera was coming up to him and one of the bigger guys, I forget the name of the other fella, but they won't talk to the rebel news kind of people that are trying to get information from it. And it's like the depopulation. I mean, even Gates, there's a lot of them come out and say, all these people that want to depopulate the world, they all have a lot of kids, which is kind of strange. Isn't it a bit ironic? But we did an episode maybe a month ago or whatever, remember, where I was saying, is it really 8 billion, the population? And I put it out there kind of saying, look, I haven't a clue. And I thought I'd be bombarded with hate, but there's been a few comments. People are kind of going, yeah, I think might be right. Like, so I don't know, but they constantly say depopulation. And this is just a quick one on the organ donor, because Arnold just mentioned previously about the British lady in Turkey with her heart taking, and in Ireland, I think the UK knows that, but you have to opt out. in Ireland. So the legislation is you've been automatically, I think I mentioned that last week, you're automatically an organ donor, but you have to go in and opt out. And you have to give your PPS number, which is your social security number, you know, a lot of details, your address and everything. It's not just a case of just saying, hey, I don't want this. You have to go in. A lot of people were claiming site crashed and everything. They couldn't get in, but yeah, people are opting out. But then I came across this, and it's like, I wasn't aware of this, but apparently it's when you opt in to have an organ donor, be an organ donor on your driving license. Both you've the Irish and the English ones, and the number 115 at the end means that you're an organ donor. So what I would just say is, I don't trust these fucking guys from both any country. I'm not even, what I would actually recommend, this is probably all over Europe and maybe the Americans as well, just go in and check your own country and see what it is, because you can actually, I've actually gone into the UK site and you can see it, and it's all the list, and it's what each number means. And then when it says 115, that means actually you're an organ donor. So if you opted in and you think you're helping the world by doing that, good on you, that's great. But if you didn't and they put it there, even if you've opted in out of the other thing, and someone, you get hit by a bus in the morning, or somebody intentionally hits you with a bus, and they take your card and it's got 115 on it, they'll be taking out your organs. So if you don't want to be an organ donor, just check your driving license, or if you renew it, make sure they don't sneakily insert it. I'm not saying they're doing that, but they could.
In addition to what happened last night in the bombing by the U.S. guys of the supposedly nuclear plants in Iran, well, it's obviously that they are not going to accept that. No country would say, well, fine, thank you very much, that's it. Whether you're a small or a big country, nobody's going to accept that. So one of the things which was already announced last night or early this morning by Iran is that they are preparing to close the Strait of Hormuz. That is the small area in this shaped area of where everything goes from, well, basically the oil from the Middle East to the West, but especially also things from Asia, whatever. That's how things get transported. And it says that oil prices will surge sharply. So we will notice it at the gas station, because the prices will go up, because there won't come any oil tankers anymore through, because it will be closed. And it will disrupt about 30% of the global supply. Why 30%? Because everything which is going from Vietnam, Bangladesh, China towards Europe and everything else, it will be closed. And that will cause a manufacturing problem, but also a major energy crisis. And this is, well, it already happened, or it will happen in the next few hours. So that is why we might say, hey, well, I don't live in Israel or Iran. I don't care. You will, because sooner or later there will be stuff you cannot buy. There is your energy prices will go through the roof, where it will impact all of us.
And I'm just looking at the map there, Arnold, and like the United Arab Emirates is only up to a tiny part. Does that mean that the little piece at the top is Iran's as well? And is that why they can close it? Because if it's some other countries that's there, obviously they would object, and it would cause more kind of.
No, but it's like if Iran has got its own marine. Yes, if they just put
Yeah, going into that part of it, the thing.
They will just put a couple of marine things in, or they threaten to shoot you. It's pretty easy. It's not that they're going to put a rope there and say stop with a sign called stop. It's just like, I think they will put a poop of their marine big ships there, and that's it. So pretty easy.
the next one, the climate hoax. So I think I saw a very good video of a guy, Lewis Blackpool. He documents revealed that 80% of the UK temperature sensors are rated poor or unreliable by international standards. Despite this, their data still shapes national climate reports and net zero policies. The Met Office hasn't audited these stations in over a decade. Could this affect the climate narrative? He sent Freedom of Information request to the Met Office, and the findings: over 80% of the stations are classified as poor. According to that, the stations are rated as class 3 to 5 under World Meteorological Organization standards, indicating lower reliability. Auditing concerns: the Met Office hasn't conducted a comprehensive audit of these stations in over a decade. This lack of recent auditing raises questions about the quality of assurance and the impact on the policy. These temperature stations that are being used to shape national climate reports, inform net zero policies, and support climate change assessments. The concerns: poor siting of stations contribute to high levels. He was basically saying that some of them are next to airports and different places with concrete, so they're not getting accurate readings. There are allegations that about the Met Office temperature data from over 100 non-existing weather stations. Policy implications: the data from these stations influences like the climate. It's a very I'll try to put the link in. It's a very good view because he's got the statistics, but basically it's all of the there was something like 400 and odd weather stations, and 350 were kind of classed as unreliable or in bad locations, and then they get the averages, so they're using all wrong information. It's just like basically you have something next in the air conditioning unit or next to somewhere where you wouldn't get the proper reading, and then they combine it and say, oh, we've got climate change and all that, and it's all a lie. So he's kind of just proved that with freedom of information. So he's got the proper information. I mean, I know that anyway. We got a guy from Greenpeace, all the different things that they tell you. Oh, polar bears are dying, the ice is melting. All lies, all lies. Everything they tell you is lies. And all what happens to us? Oh, another tax, another tax. You know, it's if you look at Time magazine, global heating, global cooling, then because they're saying, you know, the climate change, so everything, and then they're blaming the cows for farting, and they're like you mentioned about the bovars the last week, and nothing about the millions of planes around the world that are spraying toxic shit on us. That's okay. That's not affecting anything. So it's just we're just being made fools of, and they're just laughing at us. They're destroying the farmers. They're destroying everything. But 100%, it's a hoax. AI.
Yeah, so what I've been predicting for a long time, and people don't like it when I say it, is that using all these AI tools is not without disadvantages. It's impacting your brain. And as it is my job and passion to increase your brain fitness, I would say be very, very careful about using these tools. There have been published recently a lot of research by MIT. Here I have another research paper which says that LLM users, LLM is, well, that's like the Chat GPT and Claude and Meta and Copilot. Yes, that is, yeah. So everyone uses this, but it says the users consistently underperformed at neural is your nerves in your brain, at linguistic, language, and behavioral levels. So at all of these three levels, people consistently underperformed. Yeah. The dependence on LLM weakens the writer's own neural and linguistic fingerprints. Yeah. Relying only on EEG measures your traffic in your brain, basically. Text mining and a crossover session. The authors show that keeping some AI-free practice time protects your memory circuits and encourages richer language even when a tool is later introduced. So, yeah, it means that even if you do it for, oh, it's only for this, it's only for that, it's only for this. But it's what I'm saying is, if you don't use it, you lose it. Yeah? So it's the same with your brain as it is with your body. Yeah, body fitness, brain fitness, both needed. But it's like, let's say, well, I had it. Or you break your leg and it's been in the plaster for 6 to 8 weeks. That means, yeah, if they remove the plaster, you're not up, walking away. No, you got to learn to walk again. You got to train it and do it because it was 6 to 8 weeks not used. You cannot use your leg. It doesn't work anymore. Yeah? So, and that's only 6 to 8 weeks. So imagine that for half a year, you're using for all your writing ChatGPT. That means you totally lose your capability for language, your neural, and your behavioral thing. You cannot even talk anymore. You cannot really thinking. You cannot read something and remember what's being said. That's the same thing. So it's like if you don't use it, you lose it. And that is what these studies are showing. So I'm not saying you shouldn't use it. I'm saying use it very, very carefully. It's just like, yeah, it's like I always go with the car or the bike, whatever, and you stop walking. I tell you, it won't take so long. You will have difficulty walking. Yeah? So it's with your body and brain, it's the same thing. It's like you gotta keep on using it. Yeah. And not be lazy and say, okay, my AI thing can do it. No, you gotta keep on using it. Otherwise, it will be gone. And these studies are proving it.
And I mean, you go to braingym.fitness because that's what we're kind of making sure that you don't do. And just my own kind of journey. When I was younger, from 11, I started doing a newspaper round. I was doing it up to college, and I had over 100 customers. And they had all different kind of things. Some people were getting the papers a few days. Some people were getting Sunday papers. Some were getting morning papers and stuff like that. I had everything in my head. I remembered everything, how much people owed and if they paid and all that. And then later, like when I started working, it was like before the mobile phones kind of kicked in and the stationary phone. And I was buying a load of equipment for the company that I was working for, because I was running multi-million pound jobs. And I had all the numbers in my head. I had a phone book, but I remembered them. I was able to and then it gets to the stage where people, they don't use, they're crap at maths because they got so used to using a calculator. I personally was very good at kind of finding my way around places. And I got lazy with using the sat nav because I said, oh, it's avoiding traffic and doing that. And then if you forget your charger and everything, it's like you still kind of get it, but you're not 100%. You're after losing that ability to remember where to be driving. And it's just with this, what you've just said, it's the same thing. Like as I mentioned, I didn't need lists younger. Then I needed lists to write things down. And now I need to remember where I put my lists because it's got so bad. So don't be relying on these things.
Yes, that's why, just like body fitness, brain fitness is not a luxury, it's a necessity.
Yeah. So, ASCAPE, AESCAPE, revolutionizing massage therapy through AI and robots. It was founded in 2017 by an entrepreneur, Eric Littman, from his own struggles of debilitating neck injury. It's secured like 128 million in funding, and their strategic partnership in a major move demonstrating market confidence. They partnered with a premium health club, Equinox, and they're putting it into 60 locations. and kind of the technology, sophisticated sensor systems similar to those used in leading massage robots, which can detect and respond to individual body characteristics, heated robot arms that provide personalized massage experience, interactive control interface that allows users to customize their experience, special compression garments that enhance their massage experience while ensuring proper treatment delivery. The guy that was actually reporting on it said it was the best massage he's ever had in his life. In ways, this can be great because if it's done right and it's programmed right, you will get a very good massage, because there's a lot of people out there, they'll do you more damage than good, because there's a lot of amateur experts out there and they'll actually hurt you with the way they're doing it. So in that sense, fantastic. And if you can get a great massage, but on the other sense, how many masseuses will lose their job because of this? Because the rich boys will come in, they can buy, and they'll have all this technology. And if you get the best massage of your life, are you going to use that, or are you going to go to, the people down the road that are using their manual labor? And unless you because people tend to be staring away from human interaction, even in supermarkets, they're using the self-checkouts and things like that. So I think even for kind of some people are embarrassed about their bodies and things like that, they'd go, hey, I don't have to talk to a human. I can just go in here and do it. So another one that's going to take a load of jobs, but on the other side, it can kind of be better than the bad masseuses.
Yeah, on the AI topic, this is a picture of which seem to be two Chinese guys, but they're not Chinese. Well, they're not Chinese guys. They're an AI digital twins. You see, to me, they look totally human, but they're AI digital twins. This was a Chinese entrepreneur called Luo Yunghao or something like that. He uses Baidu. Baidu is one of the main Chinese e-commerce platforms, and he uses it for a 6-hour live stream. So a 6-hour live stream of these things where they were selling products on their live stream. And in this thing, they generated over 7 million in sales. 133 products in one session. The stream reached 13 million viewers and beat Luo's real stream in May. So he did one where there was a real person where he did the same thing, but in just 26 minutes, they had more viewers and they sold more stuff. So this is these dual digital avatars. Yeah, they were interacting in natural conversation and movement. So you didn't know that you were interacting, and there are these people talking to you about, wow, this product is great, and that product is great, and you should buy it, whatever. They just look like and they act like totally like humans. But they said it's like this market only in China is $946 billion. So if you would replace the humans doing this type of work and replace them with these AI avatars, you would slash costs by 80% and increase transactions by 62%. So this is another example how AI is even replacing people who are working in the digital space. And not by just a tiny bit. It's like, I'm looking at the robot or whatever. No, look at the picture. These look like real guys. And the guy tested and he compared what these guys did, because they can go on for hours and hours. They don't need to go to the toilet. They don't need to say, oh, I need a bite to eat. They just continue. They don't make any mistakes. So it's like, it's really, really incredible. And this is happening as we speak.
Good news, Carvin. Mail in a barrel. What's that about?
Yeah, I thought this was a really nice story about this guy. His name is Johnny Beardmore. and he visited a while ago a Galapagos island, and there was an old whiskey barrel that has been used since 1793 to send mail back home. Yeah, you get a barrel, put the mail in there, and send it out. It was used to be used by sailors to send mail home. But now it was used by tourists who put mail in the barrel. So what he did is in 2022 he visited that island and he was in grief about the death of his father, and he saw that barrel and it was totally full with all kinds of letters, and he looked through it, and he's from New Zealand, and he took a few letters out of that barrel and he delivered them in New Zealand. So Galapagos Island to New Zealand. And so he took a few of the letters, made sure that it got delivered to the people in New Zealand, and obviously people were so over the moon to receive that thing, because everybody expect, well, I will never get that letter. Eh? And then he decided, because he has lost his father, his father had no longer the ability to travel and physically communicate. So we wanted to honor his father and help raise awareness for motor neuron disease, MND. And he returned to the island. He picked out all 55 letters and postcards and covered 52 countries, spanning 7 continents, and he delivered it to all the people, those letters. Can you imagine? The guy has been traveling all over the world to deliver those letters. And he said, yeah, that obviously a lot of these people became his lifelong friends. That is what this man did. Huh? Totally incredible.
That makes, yeah. Denmark's farewell to Microsoft. The Danish government has officially announced its decision to transition away from Microsoft products as part of a broader strategy to achieve digital sovereignty. Caroline Stage Olsen, Denmark's Minister for Digitalization, has confirmed that the ministry will begin moving from Microsoft Office to LibreOffice, an open source alternative. Over half of the military staff will switch to Libre by next month, and complete transaction to open source software is planned by the end of this year. The transition includes moving away from Windows, particularly due to Windows 10's approach in end of support. The key motivating factors, part of the broader European Union's initiative to maintain control over digital infrastructure, data and technology, aims to reduce dependence on US-based technology providers and aligns with the EU-wide efforts to enhance digital sovereignty. Security and privacy issues, lack of transparency in data processing and systems generating personal data collection, non-compliance with GDPR, purpose limitation principle, and excessive collection of diagnostics and telemetry data, and questions about the effectiveness of data, and concerns over Chromebook case regarding unauthorized data processing. I mean, I'm not a Gates fan. Microsoft, every time they do stuff on the computer, it's like they're just constantly taking data. I mentioned it, not sure how long ago on our show, but I have the Spooky 2 system on my laptop, and it was starting to disappear all the time. I couldn't figure it out, and the guy said Microsoft is doing that. Bill Gates, with all he's doing in the world, not the best of people, and they have all our information. So I think that's a good thing, and hopefully other countries will follow.
Yeah, and hopefully finally the EU is going to think about creating our own platform, because all the major technology platforms are either from the US or from China, but not from Europe. Yeah, so we need to build as Europe our own mailing system, database system, everything, whatever, instead of use and be dependent on other countries. Because if they just say, oh, you're no longer allowed to use it, we can do nothing. And so we got to build our own platform.
Yeah.
Skateboarding, I never done personally, but this is a picture of a skateboarder who's visually impaired. He's blind, but he has a stick in his right hand. Is a guy called Don Messina, and he enjoyed skateboarding, but then he became almost blind, and he said, "Yeah, well, I still would like to continue skateboarding, but well, he couldn't do that on the between quotes normal skateboarding rinks, so he has um, he has created a what he called the first adaptive skate park, where people who are visually impaired can still do the skating. Yeah, I think that's amazing. Yeah, and the guy he even has participated. He's now become a professional skateboarder. He's relearning tricks, and he even completed the course at the Paris Olympic Games. So I think it's great that someone says, "Hey, I'm not able. I cannot use the traditional skateboard. It's not there. I'm gonna build it. I'm gonna make it sure that it's there." And just like me, there are many more visually impaired people. They can still continue or start to use skateboarding. I think that is a super initiative.
And my son, he's got the not the skateboard, but the ones with the handles on it. I forget what they're called. Basically, he was at a skate park and somebody crashed into him, and the thing turned and went into his chest, and he had a savage bruise. So even though you might have helmets and things like that, some of them are dangerous. So I can only imagine what will happen. If you getting a walking stick into the eye and everything. But the fact that he can do it, good for them. Yeah. So smartphones.
Well, smartphone replace the smartphone by flip phones. Flip phone.
Yeah.
And we first started with the small Nokia phones, and then people are using the flip phone, which is basically like you have to open it to use it. That's a flip phone. Huh? And here is a picture of a group of college students who said, "We're gonna ditch our smartphones." So great thing, and we're only gonna use the flip phone because we still want to be able to reach each other, talk to each other, etc. So they created a movement called the Reconnect movement, because and they're replacing the screen time with painting, debates, and good-fashioned hangouts. Yeah, so typically here on the picture they're hanging out together. And why did they took the initiative? Because one of the guys said, I was clearly addicted to my smartphone, and he said, I want to get rid of it. So that's why he said, I like meeting in real person, talking with my friends, listening to music, debating, doing things together rather than only watching my screen. So that is why they said, hey, we're going to ditch our smartphone. We're going to only use these flip phones, and we're going to meet in person well, to do fun things together. So I think it's a great initiative, and it's by the people themselves. That's why it works. Yeah, so it's not like a government or the parents or so you got to do this. Well, then everybody knows that's not going to work. But this is an initiative by these group of young folks themselves. So I think it's an excellent initiative, which is worth repeating.
I remember with the Nokia, you charged that for once a week, and you still had battery. Whereas now, I think I have to charge my phone about 10 times a day. And I heard somebody recently saying we want to get the BlackBerry back, so that you can just do the typing and everything, but get away from all this social media. And yeah, I mean, everyone has got digital fatigue. It's like the best time I ever felt was I was on a retreat to Costa Rica, and there was no Wi-Fi or anything. And the first 2 days you're feeling a bit kind of iffy because you just, without even thinking it, we're all on the technology all the time. And after that, you just feel fantastic. And it's like, it's hard, but just try it and then reduce it and like what we're doing as well is watch the time that you're spending and just try to start reducing it and see the hours and see where you're spending your time and go, like, I deleted a load of apps on my phone. It was like I got rid of LinkedIn, I got rid of X, I got rid of Instagram, because it was just, because what happens is you just check, and before you know it, you're scrolling through and everything's like, nah, take it off. If I need to see them things, I can go onto my laptop and do them. So, yeah. Yeah, this is one. Mexico bans the sale of salty and sweet treats in schools to fight childhood obesity. Government sponsored junk food ban in schools across Mexico took effect, officials said, as the country tries to tackle one of the world's worst obesity and diabetes epidemics. The health guidelines first published last fall take a direct shot at salty and sweet processed products that have become a staple for generations of Mexican school children, such as sugary fruit drinks, packaged chips, artificial pork rinds, and soy-encased chili-flavored peanuts. Announcing the ban has become law. Mexico's education minister posted on X, farewell junk food, and it encourages parents to support the government's crusade by cooking healthy meals for their kids. Under Mexico's new order, schools must phase out any food and beverages displaying even one black warning logo, marking it as high in salt, sugar, calories, and fat. Mexico implemented that compulsory frontal package labeling back in 2020. The junk food ban also requires schools to serve more nutritious alternatives to junk food, like bean tacos, and offering plain drinking water. Mexico's children consume more junk food than anywhere else in Latin America, according to UNICEF, which classifies the nation's childhood obesity epidemic as an emergency. Sugary drinks and high processed food come for 40% of the total calories that children consume a day. 1/3 of Mexican children are already considered overweight and obese. So, school administrators found in violation of the order face stiff fines ranging from $545 to $5,450. So it's a good thing. I mean, this is in America. This is everywhere. I mean, even, I don't know if I mentioned it last week, but like, my son was at a party, so I was kind of taking a walk around the park, and I was, reading everything. And one stage, and I said, I'd go across and get some food, and I just got a coffee and something, and I was sitting, and I just saw the people passing. Just kind of. And the percentage of people that are obese in Poland. And I mean, when I came here first, you wouldn't spot any. So this is international. And it's like, everyone should just copy that. Because I go around and it's like, anywhere you go, all these machines, even I go to the gym, the shite they sell, you're going, this is a gym. What are you selling this shit for? Like, all energy drinks and everything. You can't buy an apple, banana, or fruit or anything like that. I say, it's all orchestrated. So yeah, it's talk to your local gym, talk to your school and everything, and say, hey, get these Coca-Cola machines out, because they ain't helping them. And I mean, a child will just go, like, if a child sees Coke, he'll just want it, and his friends drinking it, don't have it there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And for painkillers, obviously your pharmacy or your drugstore will sell you all kinds of stuff. But here's a list I found of natural painkillers. Yeah, so just some things like honey for thorns in your mouth. I don't know. There was something else I had to. How do you call it when you have to do
slush in their mouth?
I had to slush it for something. For something else, but it's like, obviously it also works for sores in your mouth. Yeah. So there's blueberries for bladder problems, curry powder for aching joints, dill for being upset, ginger, we talked last week, ginger also for being nauseous, wild lettuce for pain. So there are so many natural things which you can try before popping a pill. So have a look at the list and see what's applicable to you. And first, start using natural product before you resort to big pharma stuff.
Yeah, I mean, coconut oil, organic one, not the one that's been processed. And how you know is the one that's been processed, when they melt, it looks like gunk. whereas the other one doesn't. It's clear liquid, and just a few drips of oregano oil is good. A spoon of honey with turmeric on it. Like, it's all stuff like that I use all the time. And I mean, a lot of the things, they're like blockers. People take the paracetamol, they take all these different things and they think it's helping them, and it's not. So I think always have that stuff in your house.
Absolutely.
Dirty electricity. Yeah. I think we have a nice picture there, don't we? Who's that handsome bloke? And that's my device there as well. Like, so, so I turned it on there and we're getting the beep, so you know that it beeps, so which means here, yeah, dirty. Dr. Samuel Milham brings significant credentials to his work as a medical doctor with a Master of Public Health degree. He is recognized as a pioneer in epidemiology, particularly for his groundbreaking work in identifying health risks associated with electrical pollution. His expertise and early warnings about the dangers of occupational exposure to dirty electricity have made him as an influential voice in his field. He's basically, he explains dirty electricity refers to electrical pollution caused by high frequency voltage transients on electrical wiring. He presented evidence suggesting links between dirty electricity and various health issues, including stress symptoms, obesity, diabetes, and cancer risks. I would highly encourage people to get that book. But what I want to do is just read a few little things, because he's talking about the kind of fraud and stuff like that that's going. There's a load of stuff in this, right? So, I noticed that a few of the babies were mildly jaundiced, right? So he was doing circumcisions in a hospital. After a little record checking, I found that they were all delivered by one osteopath group that used a load of heavy-duty narcotics to knock the mothers out to the point that they didn't remember anything about their labor or delivery, which still happens today. I think the technique was called twilight sleep. It was bad for the mothers and especially bad for babies. The mothers would trash about on their cots, sometimes soiling themselves and pulling out the IVs. The babies were born depressed and difficult to resuscitate. They were also jaundiced. When I reported my findings to the hospital director, he told me keep my mouth shut or they would terminate my training. What an auspicious start to my research career. It was a hectic, exhausting, exciting, and rewarding time. And this book was 2010, but he was born in 1934. So this is going back probably like the 50s, 60s that this is. So it's like you're going, oh, this is going on. So it's not just about electricity, but like there's a lot of stories there, and you're going, oh, I see it. So I just picked out a few. It's the New York diagnosis through pathological information and interviews with the next of kin. One father told me that his wife have also died of acute leukemia at age 28, 1 year after his son had died. Unfortunately, at the time, I could find no common denominator to explain the cases. In 1996, when researcher Stanisław Śmigielski showed that Polish military personnel working with radar had an increased incidence of leukemia, I remember that many of the homes I visited in New York were in line of sight with a large rotating radar array of Griffin's Air Force Base. This offered further support of my suspicion that leukemia might be caused by environmental electrical exposure. And this goes out to a lot of my American listeners, because I know that there's 1 million or more that are involved in the military and their military bases and everything. So just remember that, and then just kind of think, hey, how many of my friends have actually, cancer and stuff like that? There was another one, a guy that was going against him with the electrical, highly qualified and everything. And then through though confusing at the time, some of Sir Richard Doll's seemingly pro-industry stance made sense years later. After he died, it was revealed that Monsanto, another Bill Gates kind of investment fund that he's in the month, had paid him $1,500 per day for many years. In other words, bribing somebody to give false evidence because they had the qualifications. And that goes on today as well. At breakfast one morning during one of the trials, a utility expert I'd known for 20 years admitted that our side was right, but it did not stop him from pocketing a reported $250,000 a year as an expert witness for the utility companies, in addition to his full university professor's salary. So, I mean, yeah, actually, this is a very interesting one as well, because I'd heard about this, right? There was recent studies of long-term California firefighters working in fire stations near cell towers have shown that they have many of the signs and symptoms of microwave illness, like sleep deprivation, depression, headaches, tremors, and slowed reaction time. Additionally, they had abnormal functional brain scans. The International Association of Firefighters has a resolution banning fire station cell towers pending further research. So I know I've heard a lot that they don't allow them on the fire stations. Yet, I think I mentioned it previously, in Poland, loads of the buildings have these 5G towers all over them. This is just proving it. This is going back a good few years. So, like, how do you think it's okay to have that on your, and even work, just like people on work? And I tell people, and they look at me like I have two heads. 100%, this is damaging you. It's just that you don't see it. It's like going into a McDonald's. You don't drop dead of a heart attack because, you're just at a McDonald's. So finally, there. This is one because I had a friend that had died. ALS had been shown to be more common in people who had serious electric shock episodes, and it is more common in electrical workers in general. For several years now, I've tried to interest others in studying people who had electroconvulsive shock therapy, ETC, to see if they also developed ALS. Another clue to ALS etiology in clusters of the disease that have been reported in Italian soccer players and in United States football players. These players and other athletes have often used nuisance electric nerve stimulator devices, TENS, TENS. I mean, if we've been aware of that, when you have an issue, you probably use that when you were after your car accident, and which deliver, and I know that when I had an injury, they would deliver small electric shocks to the skin to ease pain. It acts as a counter irritant in the same way. So, like, I mean, basically football players and stuff like that, they're using that a lot. And that's connected with ALS. And like the worst thing is every single thing they know. So, I mean, I've just touched on a handful of the things. Like I don't know why my camera's cutting off. Apologies for that. But I would highly recommend this book. Obviously, they don't want us to be talking about this because...
Yeah, it's just blacking out. Yeah. And the thing what I would like to add, based upon what you also earlier mentioned about obesity and everything else, there's some folks who are sharing a picture of people on a beach in the 60s and 70s, and any average beach, and people look really lean and nice, and the kids and whatever, and then they show people on the beach now.
They think it's beach dwells.
It's really incredible, the difference. So, it's not for a commercial or advertisement, whatever. It's just average people on beaches, whatever. It's like, have a look at it. It's like, wow, how is that possible? The thing I would like to share is a new podcast that I found. It is a podcast by Kevin Rose. Some of you might. Kevin Rose has his own. Well, this is also his own podcast, but this is a different podcast from Kevin Rose. Kevin Rose has his own show. He's one of the earliest starters who, I think he was the founder of Dig, which was one of the first, if not the first, blog platform, really big. So a guy who knows what he put, but he now started a new podcast called Less Than One. And I like that because Less Than One emphasizes the uniqueness of people. And that's what I do with my brain fitness is to say, instead of what they try to do you at school and in any educations that you're the same as anybody else. No, we are all unique. So that is why I love the title Less Than One. And his first guest is Jason Fried. Jason Fried, some people of you might know, he started, I think 24 years ago, Basecamp, 37 signals. He now has a very well used email client called Hey. But he will have different guests, and this was his first guest, but I think he's a very good guest. He's really a guy who I think ultimately uses his uniqueness. And one of the main things what he said is that the products where they are working on as a company, he said, the best products are products that are built for the builder. So it's something like I can use and apply. Right? So because apparently they had asked him, him and his partner saying, we really would like to have a CRM platform. Can't you guys work on a CRM platform? And he and his partner, they were like, no, we're not excited about it. We can do it, of course, we can work on that, but no, we don't feel like doing it. So he's really using his passion is like, hey, I must be 200% into the product, and I want to be using my product and applying it. Otherwise, I'm not going to build. Yeah? So, I showed here a screenshot of the podcast, Less Than One with Kevin Rose and the first guest, Jason Fried. I don't know whether they will have weekly guests or not, but it's really worthwhile because it shows that not people who were necessarily like the successful thing, but people who use their uniqueness to get results. So highly recommended.
Yeah, excellent. So that's all for this week. You'll find Arnold and all the stuff that he's been talking about and all the things to help you with aging and mind and everything on braingym.fitness. You will find me on rycon.com. And be sure to subscribe and kind of hit the notification because it helps. And like, I'll give an example of the censorship. I was putting out some of the shorts on TikTok that myself and Arnold from the shows, and some of them were averaging about 800. We were like, okay, this is good. And now it's like they're averaging 0. So there's times they stop putting it out there. And the only way we can do it is when you actually subscribe, so then you get the notification coming in, or comment on the different things we've discussed today. You don't have to agree to anything we say. If you think what we said you don't agree, just don't be abusive. We're open to discussion, and that helps us as well when you comment. So we'd love to know what you thought of the different things and what you found of this episode. Until next week, take care.